If you've been feeling uneasy about your job lately, um, you're you're not alone. Like most people are. Economic uncertainty, changes in the industry, the political climate, AI and technology, like so many people are wondering, is my job safe because of everything that is going on? Like, it is okay that you are also not feeling safe. And you obviously aren't because you're here watching this. Um, Today, I want to talk to you about the red flags that signal that your job might be at risk so that you hopefully won't be caught off guard if your position was to be eliminated. And then I'm going to leave you with some next steps on what to do if you have raised multiple or one of these red flags. You're going to know exactly what to watch out for and how to prepare, and with some extra resources. So let's dive in to this tough topic. I'll see you on the other side. Hi, my name is Sara, and I am a certified career and leadership coach. I help people find their dream jobs, ones where they don't get laid off, or maybe they do because, layoffs happen, but ones where they work less, make more, and finally feel happy and fulfilled doing work that they love. I have this YouTube channel and it is growing, and I am just creating this community of support and help, and I love that. So if you are here for the first time, drop a comment below. Let me know where you're coming from. If you have been here but you haven't done that yet, let me know. I'd love to hear where you're from and why you're here, why you come to my channel to watch these videos. And make sure you hit that subscribe button because I drop videos pretty much every week, like most weeks of the year. So make sure you hit that so you don't miss a single one. Okay. So I mentioned about finding your dream job where you don't get laid off, but maybe you could. It's because layoffs are normal. Job insecurity is normal. So most people will get laid off at some point in their career. Like, I don't know the exact stats. The stats I have are like from 10-ish years ago, where they average that people will be laid off anywhere from 4 to 6 times in their career, which is an insane number to me. But as a recruiter, so I've worked in HR and recruitment. So I worked through hiring freezes. I worked through with hiring teams and HR teams internally when I was an agency, going through major economic or times of economic uncertainty. So I have a big understanding of what kind of goes in the background. Also, my psychology background, I understand how stressful times can lead to psychological changes that you might want to use as a red flag. But why I am telling you about a lot of this is, as a recruiter and now as a career coach. So I recruited for 15 years. I've been coaching for 7 years. I really just want you to know that if your role does get eliminated, it is not a knock against you. And it is not about you. It is about the time. And it sucks. And if that happens to you, then you'll have this video that got laid off. Watch this. I walk you through a timeline of what to do if you've been laid off, because it's what I wish I had when I got laid off. But as a recruiter, like, we talk to people who've been laid off all of the time. And if you get laid off now, there won't be any like, oh, why were you laid off? They'd be like, oh, yeah, well, layoffs are happening. So I just want you to not internalize the fear. I want you to use the knowledge of these red flags to empower you so that you feel like you are in control of your next step. Okay, so let's get into the red flags that you should look out for to understand if your job is safe at your current company. The first is, are layoffs happening or are they rumored to be happening? This is an obvious red flag. Like if there's layoffs happening, you can be pretty sure that your job is not safe. It doesn't mean it's for sure going to happen, but, and that your role will definitely be eliminated, but you will be definitely operating under the assumption that it could happen. Now, when a company is taking a look at how to do layoffs, they are generally focusing first on the cost centers. So these are the departments that don't bring money. So we see them with HR, training and development, finance, even though finance deals with the money, so they don't get touched too much, administrative, some operations. So these are the ones that generally are a little bit more at risk. Sales, on the other hand, and sometimes marketing, depending on the company and its leadership, but they're generally considered, sales is definitely considered a revenue generating department. So they're usually the last in the line to get to have layoffs. So if you're in a cost center, you want to be more concerned than if you're in a non-cost center, but you would want to be concerned no matter what. Because a lot of organizations are like, we need to do a 25 across the board layoff. And so they may just tell each of the leaders of the departments, you have to cut 25% of your staff. Or they may balance that out. But every department would still probably have to have a percentage of that overall impact. So if there's rumors of layoffs or layoffs happening, it's a massive red flag. You definitely want to stay to the end of this video. Okay. The second red flag is your workload or your team, like relationships, have changed drastically. So the workload could be way more responsibilities without any changes, or it could mean a whole lot less responsibilities without any salary changes, like where like it's unpredictable and very different. Like this is not something that you are used to or that you have seen before. That's a big red flag. Now, it could be the increased workload without pay because they've already done some layoffs. So then you may be fine, but we don't know if they'll be doing other rounds. And honestly, who wants to do three people's job for one salary? No, thank you. But the other big thing that I really see more than workload changes is the changes in the team relationships, especially that with the management. So if your manager who used to meet with you one-on-one weekly would have their door open or would be available to chat and would want to find out about how your weekend, and they had this like really great relationship with you, and then all of a sudden they don't want to do the one-on-ones. They almost like have their door closed all the time. They don't really ask you about your personal life. They're kind of creating a wall. They are probably doing this because they know some stuff that they feel guilty about. Maybe they are making decisions on who to keep on their team, and they don't want to have any personal relationships because they know it's going to hurt you, obviously, but also them to let you go. So they put up a wall so that they kind of protect themselves for when that's happening. Or it could just be the added stress of everything's going on that they know, and they can't relieve that stress with you because you're not allowed to know what's going on. So that is a major red flag. Now we have the like opposite of that as well, where a manager who used to be like giving you autonomy and empowering you and independence, like trusting you to do your work, all of a sudden become micromanagers. And this could be from their stress, or it could be now they're being micromanaged because of their own boss's boss stress and their own boss stress, where all of a sudden they're like nitpicking everything you do and like stressed to the max about everything having to be perfect and like going line by line through things and nitpicking on like the silliest of things, like your email signature or something like that, when they didn't used to be like that. That could be a big red flag that something's going on that is really, really stressing them out. Okay. The third red flag that I want to talk about is one that is kind of sometimes hard to put your finger on exactly. It's to deal with the company's like leadership and how they are communicating it. So, are they being vague? Are they dodging questions? Are they having town halls but not taking any questions, but just going on about the great state of the company? Or maybe they are talking about some financial instability, or they're actually addressing some of the rumors, but then they're being vague about the outcomes and the decisions. They are in this because they are trying to retain employees. They're trying to, especially if they are a publicly traded company, they are trying to protect their stock prices. And that's not a great sign. Like if they are being vague about it, or more vague than normal, that is a red flag. So is it as big as some of the other ones? Maybe not. But I would definitely be concerned, especially if you're in an industry, which is a sister red flag to this. Your industry is experiencing some challenges, which leads us to the red flag number 4, which is budget cuts are happening everywhere. And I'm talking about internal in your company and external in the industry. So we're hearing about a hiring freeze. So they're not replacing any positions, they're just not hiring for them. If all of a sudden certain expense line items are being slashed or eliminated, like maybe you were allowed to expense certain things, like if you're in sales, taking people out for dinner, or if you had a car allowance, or if you had a gas card, or something like that, and those are being slashed or eliminated, that's a red flag. If bonuses are teeny tiny because of performance, massive red flag. If they're being canceled altogether, like really big red flag. And this can be happening within your company, or it can be happening within the industry. So maybe your company isn't doing some of these, but a whole bunch of other companies in the industry are. Your company just could be slower on the uptick on making the decisions to do that. So I would consider that a red flag, maybe not as like fire in your face red flag as if it was happening in your company, but definitely something to be keeping an eye out. Okay, red flag number 5. Your gut. Your gut is just telling you something's off. I don't know. My intuition is very powerful. It's part of my personality type anyway, but it's also something I've really, especially since I ignored it for 15 years, I've really tried to listen to it. And there have been times you've ignored your intuition and then you regretted ignoring it. So if you are sensing something is off, and some of these that I've talked about are a lot of that sensing thing, like sensing our managers and sensing the leadership and like the rumors of layoffs, but they're not happening. That's like an intuition thing. If you're kind of sensing that instability and your gut is saying, I kind of think I might need to be worried, then don't ignore it. I think we need to at least give it its due. Like focus on like, why am I thinking this? Going out and seeking out information, proving that now might be the time to think about doing something. So to recap the red flags, we have number 1, layoffs are happening or rumored to be happening. Your workload and team dynamic. That's the word, not team relationship. Well, team relationship works, but dynamic was actually the word I was looking for. It's why having a script would sometimes be nice, or a more in-depth script. Anyway, your workload or your team dynamics has changed drastically. Red flag number 3, the leadership has become very vague about the future. Number 4, budget cuts are happening everywhere in your company or across the industry And number 5, your intuition. Your gut is just like, something smells bad. Now, these signs don't mean you should quit tomorrow, especially if you have a really good severance package, maybe potentially coming your way, but they do mean you need a game plan. And so I really want to talk through in the next video how to sort of evaluate your next step in this case, or if none of these red flags that come up, it's also a good video for you. So you can watch that for next week. But before I go, I do want to give you a little bit of like what you should be doing next, because I know like if a whole bunch of these red flags, and let me know below how many have come up and which ones, you can be really afraid. Like, it definitely sets off the anxiety, especially if you have like a mortgage to pay and like kids stuff to pay for, and even not kids, like a car payment, your phone, like a lifestyle that you want to maintain. Like all of this can feel very scary. So I want you to feel like you can take back a little bit of the control that you feel has just been wrenched from you by me telling you that these red flags exist. So number one is like start thinking about leaving. Now, not necessarily, you don't have to leave. There are two schools of thought on this. There's a school of thought of get your severance, get your severance so that you can be paid to look. There's the other school of thought in terms of competition. If you are laid off, if you are in an HR department of 100 and they cut 25%, that could be 25 people. And then you're competing with 25 people from your department, which sounds very scary. I know. And so there is sort of the weighing of those options. To me, I like to use a lot of determining factors, like how long you've been with a company. Now, if you've been with a company for a long time, you may want to stay because your severance package may be long enough to give you the time to find the position. Whereas if you've been there for a year or 2 years, your severance package will probably be at most a month or two, which maybe would not give you enough time to find that position. So you may want to be a more active seeker if that's the case versus waiting out for a severance if you've been there 5, 10 plus years, if that makes sense. So to do that, you want to figure out what it is you want to do next. You want to get your resume updated. You want to maybe start networking, reconnecting with some people that you used to know. You want to think about your like interviews and stuff. I'll be going through the full process in a couple of videos. I also think I have it in some of the videos here. So this is a good time to start thinking about that. I do also want you to start thinking about emergency fund and thinking about if I had to go on EI, what I would be earning on EI and how could I do that? Even if like ideally, you start saving pretty drastically and you don't need to touch it. And then you have a vacation fund because you don't get laid off. Like it's not like if you can, if it's possible, I would definitely do that. Will ease the financial anxiety of if that were to happen. Um, and like, do not panic. A lot of people survive mass layoffs. Some people's careers even benefit for them. So companies, the economy, all of like this is the ups and downs are normal. Every time we're in it, it feels abnormal. Like when we were going through the pandemic years, which held a lot of economic uncertainty and some layoffs. And that felt very unique in the 2008, 2009, with the massive mortgage, whatever thing. Like that was so unique and different. The 2000 tech bust, internet bust, or whatever it was called, that was also unique and different. Every time does feel unique and different, but it is normal. And I don't say that to try and gaslight you into thinking that this is okay, but into feeling like you can get through this because a lot of people have gotten through similar situations, and that people like me are here to help guide you through all of it. So that's why I'm doing a series of videos specifically geared at navigating the job search and career changes and careers in general during this weird time. So let me know in the comments. Have you noticed any of these red flags in your company? And what are you going to do next? What's the step you're going to take? And subscribe, maybe hit that notification bell so that you don't miss next week's video on the kind of evaluating your current situation so you can figure out what your next step could be. Okay. See you then. Take care. Bye. If you liked this video, then I invite you to join me in the Find Your Dream Job program, where you work less, make more money, and finally feel fulfilled doing work that you love. Find out more at www.saracurto.ca/CYLA. See you there.